buddy. How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
All right. Thanks for
Thanks.
having me, man. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for joining. It's gotta support each other, right?
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely, man.
I love your
Now you got to
setup.
take advantage of it when you can. More
Exactly.
more hype and social media stuff is it's all beneficial in the end.
It's the new world we live in, isn't it?
Absolutely, buddy.
Yeah. I love your
Absolutely.
setup.
I appreciate it. I just got a mic to the side there kind of deal and whatever. Yeah, it's all good.
Exactly. Exactly. One
Yeah.
second. I'm just gonna turn this up here. There we go. So you're in Newfoundland.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Based
live
out.
in Conception Bay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you never left home. You pretty much this is your roots.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's yeah, I kind of launched a career right in the middle of a pandemic, so it was hard to travel at that time. Now I'm booking some tour dates and all that kind of stuff, but I've been home, and I plan on staying here unless something drastic happens, and I move away for a music thing or whatever. But I've been able to manage my career from here. So,
Nice. Hey Justin, I think your video went away.
oh, did it? Oh, geez, it did. What happened there?
Oh, there
There
you
you
are. I missed your pretty face. It's been a while.
go.
So
Yeah.
congrats on your single that you've released in this September. Yeah, recently.
Really appreciate it. It's my seventh single, I
Yeah.
think, right now. Yeah, it's seventh studio single for me, and obviously I had a debut record back in September
Hmm.
2020, and ever since then, ever since that record release, I've gotten some really good feedback regarding what I'm doing and how I'm writing, and I guess the music that I'm releasing, and I teamed up with now one of my best buds and producer Clint Curtis, and he's actually in Newfoundland as well in Springdale. And we recorded everything we've recorded to date has been remotely. It's been through Facebook messages and ideas just thrown back and forth, and I've got to give it to him. He's been absolutely fantastic when it comes to, vibing what I feel and how I feel I want the song to be produced. And we kind of co-produced it, and we continue to do that. And this latest single, I believe it's our strongest yet, and we've got a music video now coming out. I just seen parts of that. Just got sent back to me, kind of a draft, and we're reviewing that now. So that's coming out in the end of the month, and yeah. So I mean, again, going back to, I guess, the music that I'm releasing, I'm getting good reaction from it, and positive feedback, and if you can write a song and someone else can relate to it, I mean, that's a songwriter's dream and goal, and I've gotten some of that good feedback ever since I started this thing. So it's just continuing on from here.
Laid back kind of night. Oh, that's just my vibe. And that song just resonates, it hits and it's
Yeah,
relatable to anybody, coast to
yeah,
coast. So you guys are out east and obviously I'm out west here in
yeah,
Alberta.
for sure.
But
Yeah,
man, the back roads. You grew up
yeah.
with that, so
It was kind of the concept of the song and the theme of the song was, let's just get away and live for tonight, and not worry about tomorrow or not worry about
mhm.
the past, just live for tonight. And it was kind of, I got this theme in my head, laid back kind of night, you spend some quiet time in the back roads. And I do a lot of I do a lot of snowmobiling in the wintertime, and I spend a lot of time in the woods in the summertime. So back roads for me are very familiar.
Mhm.
And it fits the country kind of theme as well, right? So,
For sure.
you know,
Have you made it out to Alberta?
I've been there quite a few times in the last couple of years, actually. I haven't played. I played at the I think it was the ill-fated customs motorcycle shop
Oh,
for Blue Jay sessions. Yeah, my good buddy Dan Clapson had me out. I was supposed to go out actually a couple of months ago. I had it all booked and everything, and my mom got COVID, and I had to stay behind because I was kind of in the same vicinity as her, and I was showing some of the symptoms. I didn't end up having it after, but it was unfortunate. But I love Calgary. I love Alberta. I've only ever been to Calgary and just outside of Calgary, Canmore, I think the place is
yes.
called. I golfed up there, but I used to work for an oil company, Husky Energy, and I worked offshore here in St. John's, but I also spent some time at the corporate office as well in Calgary. I just love Calgary. I mean, if there was anywhere I'd move today, it would be out west to Calgary for sure.
Have you had a chance to go to the Calgary Stampede?
Yeah, I have. So Husky, when I was working with Husky, I actually flew up, and they flew me up for the Stampede, and it was an absolute,
Excellent.
it was such a good time. I just can't explain it any more than that. I mean, the events and what happens, the city shuts down, and it's just, Stampede, go go go, and it was a very very cool experience for me to say the least. And I mean, obviously, I'm a country music fan, and just to see the events that were happening and surrounding that week, and I mean, the big artists flying in and playing and stuff, and it was very cool. I got to say.
What is your story? So you were born in Newfoundland. Uh,
Yeah.
did you grow up around country music? Was mom and dad musicians? How did this happen?
Yeah, so my mom and dad directly weren't musicians. They weren't really singers or whatever. I mean, lovers of music. They listened to a lot of country music, a lot of classic rock, kind of a mix. But for me, it really started with my extended family. I remember at a young age, I started playing guitar when I was 13 years old, and all I wanted to play was these old country songs, these old kind of, I describe it as, the crying of a steel guitar and a fiddle. That's all I wanted to hear at a very young age. And it was, I remember my aunt and uncle an old song book that they had typewritten all of the words and the lyrics out on this book. And this book was probably, I don't know, it was 150 pages deep. And it had all the classic country songs on it. I mean, George Jones, Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard, you name it. And even, so then I kind of morphed into the more 90s country style. And I started to listen to a lot of Alan Jackson, Brad Paisley, Keith Urban, all of these artists. And I kind of, I guess I was morphing into a more of my kind of audience at the time when I grew up for country music, but I always had, I mean, I could sing you 1,000 old country
Wow.
songs right now. I mean, it's just what I grew up on, and I started playing, at house parties and all that kind of stuff. My mom used to drive me crazy to play, and I just, I'd do that. But I mean, for me, it was more the entertainment value. I always wanted to sing songs that people could sing along with, and people, and there was nothing more pleasurable to me than to see, I guess, it's hard to explain, but and older folk that have listened to this music for so long, and you start singing it and you surprise them with it because they don't think that you know that kind of music, and then you get the music out and they're singing along. They're like, "Wow, how do you know all of this music?" So I just kept that train going, and I absolutely loved getting that entertainment value and making someone's night or making someone's day,
Mhm.
playing them, singing them a song. And
Yeah.
so, fast forward to now, I spent a good part of 12 years gigging on George Street. I'm not sure if you've heard of the famous George Street, but it's
Of
about,
course.
yeah, it's just a little street with about, 40 bars packed into one. And I used to go pub to pub for about 12 years, and I was just a cover song kind of guy. And I've always written songs. I just didn't have I guess, the push or the confidence to move forward with songs that I had written and to go in to produce them in a
Right.
studio and all that kind of stuff. I've played with it and toyed with it over the years, but I really found my niche with this current producer, and it gave me the confidence to keep going, keep writing, keep producing, keep releasing songs. And there's something to be said about that. And for all the artists out there that are searching to find their own and find something, hold on to it. When you find it, hold on to it, because I tell you, it's been a lifetime for me. I'm 36 years old now. It's been a lifetime for me trying to find the right sound, the right producer, the right production, and once that happens, it's absolutely magical, because what ends up happening is you get a lot of motivation from that, to write more and to sing more, because you're confident that whatever we release is going to sound real good. And there's really something to be said about that. And I'm just really, really, really happy and blessed to have the team around me that I have right now. My producer again, Clint Curtis, mentioning him. Um, Paula Danilevich from Hype Music. She's taken me from a PR perspective and really put me on the map in Canada. She's done a ton for me, and I can't say enough about her. And my buddy Rob Chuby in Toronto as well. He's a radio tracker, and he kind of shops my songs to radio and all that kind of stuff. It's a small team, but I guarantee you there's so much work when it comes to an independent artist and any artist at all. I mean, there's so many platforms to hit. There's so many, I guess boxes you have to check when you're releasing music and everything else. And the process around that is very in depth.
It's not a one all be all. Like you said, it's different platforms, and every day there's a new platform out there
Yeah,
where
man.
there's an audience, right? So you have to
Yeah,
capture that. When you talk
yeah,
about confidence, um, what do you see that you were lacking when you look at the younger you? Do you think
yeah,
if you had launched at that time, if you had that confidence, maybe the maturity wouldn't have aligned with the confidence, or maybe certain
yeah.
things weren't there that you needed this time to find you
Yeah,
internally?
for sure. That's a great question, man. And I believe in everything happens for a reason. And just explain my life events outside of what has happened in the last couple of years of my career and everything else. I mean, um, I just, when you speak I always had the confidence to get on a stage and wail out a tune. I mean, it was just, I always knew that. I always knew I could write. I just didn't have, again, going back to the production element. I kind of knew what a good production was. I've been listening to music for a very long time, so I think I had that natural knack that I knew that it was good enough to release or not. And when I heard the first song from Clint, um, we released in January 2020. It was called "Long Time Coming," and it was
Mhm.
a song. It's just more of a statement song, and it was like, "Hey, I'm Justin Fancy, and I'm a country music guy, and it's been a long time coming for me." So that was that song. And when I heard that song for the first time, I was like, "Okay, this is
Mm.
where it's at. Now I can take this to the next level." And I had written a pile of songs after I heard that song, just based on the motivation that I could release music, and the music sound good. My vocal was perfect. Everything was aligned with what I'd always dreamed of having, right? Um, so eh, again, everything happens for a reason. And I think, all my time spent downtown gigging bars and pubs and singing cover songs and everything, it's only taught me to be a better artist.
So true.
And
It's all
so
that practice for
yeah.
like you said, the grand show now. This is your go time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you listen to any big artists these days, they'll go back to, I mean, especially country artists, because country, you're in a dive bar, you're in a small pub or whatever. I mean, Alan Jackson wrote a song about it, chasing that neon rainbow, it's called. And basically he's playing bars and pubs all his life, and now he's got the chance that he's always chasing that dream. He's chasing that dream, and finally he gets the opportunity to do so. So um there's something to be said about experience in a small town place, in a small pub or a bar or whatever, singing cover songs. I mean, I sang everything from Bon Jovi to the going back to Irish music, like the Chief Tones, the Dubliners, and local artists like the Irish Descendants here. I sang all of that music, folk music, classic rock, country, rock, you name it. I just morphed into somebody that could play anything that someone requested. And
Were
that
you an
experience.
Ian Tyson fan?
Yeah, man, I love Ian Tyson. Love Ian Tyson. Yeah, man.
Alberta's
Yeah.
very own.
Oh man, no, he's great. He wrote a song. I can't remember the name of it now. My buddy
Mhm.
does. Oh my God, it'll come to me. It'll come to me. But my buddy Mike Hanrahan sings it all the time, and he's a buddy of mine that I gigged with for years.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but I mean, going back to, I guess, the confidence level, and going back to how did I get to this point. I think it's all based on experience. I did Canadian Idol in 2008 and finished in the top 50 of Canadian Idol. That was the first step for me that I knew I could be something. And then after Canadian Idol, I started playing in the bars and pubs. I look back on it now and say, well, I shouldn't have started playing bars and pubs. I should have just started writing music, just
Mm.
started becoming a recording artist or whatever. But then, on the other flip side, again, speaking from experience, it morphed me into a person, an entertainer now, as well as an artist. So now I'm a recording artist plus an entertainer. And then, I win Entertainer of the Year at the ECMAs last year. And I mean, it was just, and these awards too are extremely motivating for me. It tells me that people are listening to my music, reacting to it, relating to it, and they want to hear more. And I mean, it's something to get recognition for what you're doing.
Absolutely. How is the community as a whole in Canada or in the on the East Coast been of support to you?
Amazing. Is all I can say. I mean, there's not too much Canadian country music that comes out of the East Coast. So when I guess when I started kind of blooming a little and becoming emerging and all this kind of stuff, the amount of support I've had has been unbelievable, and it goes right back from the music organizations, Music NL, Arts NL. Um, they've supported me like you wouldn't believe, and it's been crazy. The ECMAs, all of these organizations have been unbelievable. I get people reaching out to me all the time. Dude, I can so relate to this song. It means a lot to me. And I hope you keep writing. Hope you keep doing that kind of stuff. But as far as the East Coast here in Newfoundland, we're very close knit.
Yeah.
So when they see someone, starting to have a little bit of success, and I need anything from votes or anything like that, like last year for Entertainer of the Year, ECMA, that was all a voting thing. So I mean, the support is there, and again, it motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing.
It amazes me as an artist to put yourself out there. It's your voice, it's you physically out there. It's not a product or a service. You are the product.
Mm.
So, how do you take your L's gracefully? So, we all have peaks and valleys in life, ups, downs, moods, moments.
Yeah, for
How
sure.
do you find ways to be gentle with yourself and not let that roller coaster of life take you for a ride?
Man, it's a difficult task,
Yeah.
I will say. And especially in this music business, there's it's a roller coaster of life times 10 in the music business, because there's so many lows
Mhm.
and few highs. And you need to I've been lucky enough to have a few highs now in the last couple of years, and I've been kind of trending and rising. And um but I mean, man, there's so much disappointment in this industry. And then there's, I've got a full time job out of this as well, or outside of this as well. I'm an IT guy. I work for a company in Toronto, working from home in CBS here, and I've got a 9-year-old daughter, and so music business plus the worry of life. It's a constant struggle. The biggest thing for me was that I was able to open up. I went through a bad breakup before I wrote this album. Common theme on the album is on my debut album, and some of most of the songs that I've written are kind
Mhm.
of breakup songs and love songs and whatever else. Went through a bad breakup with that, and I translated all of my hurt and kind of the hurt and the negative and the positive, and I translated that in lyrics, and I think it helped me so much to do that. But I mean, you know, I take each day for what it's worth. I mean, some days are good, some days are bad, but I mean, you still have to, believe in the process and believe that what you're doing is what is going to pay off in the end. And I think it is now. I mean, my satisfaction comes from other folks that can relate to my music. So if they reach out to me and tell me, this song means a lot to me, it's relatable. I've had that, and there's nothing more satisfying as an artist to know that there's a song that someone likes, that you wrote, that you open up yourself to somebody else to have a listen to what you went through, and they can relate to that. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's a songwriter's dream.
I've had your song on repeat now for a few days,
That's
and I
good.
just can't get over it. It's blasting in the car right now, and
That's good, buddy, man.
you
That's
know,
that. You know what? And again, I mean, to get that reaction, it's
yeah.
it's 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 what you want, man, and it motivates you to keep going.
You think about, for myself at least, everyone's got their own version of peace or paradise and just the good times. and
Yeah.
you took me back there. So thank you
Ah,
for
that's cool,
that.
man.
Yeah.
Ah, that's cool. I sincerely appreciate that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, you think about simple times in life, and those are the beautiful times, aren't they often?
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. And I've been fortunate enough to grow up in a place where, you can get away from town real quick, and in a place where there's nothing but, silence and beauty. And there's something to be said about that. And I think, I'm not your Alberta put on a cowboy hat, cowboy boots kind of country guy. I'm a guy that, that grew up loving and listening to country music. And there's a lot of country music here in Newfoundland as well. Not so much from an artistic perspective, but there's a lot of people here to listen to country music, and I just grew up on it, and I love it, and I can relate to it. I can relate to it all. Growing up in the back roads and growing up, fishing and hunting and all of this stuff. So I can definitely relate to the
For
country music
sure.
scene for sure.
I wonder when you look at Canada as a whole, you start at the far east coast and you go say Newfoundland, would it be more fiddle? Then you go Nova Scotia, it's bagpipes. Is there certain sounds, or is that overall Canadian music is just
Yeah, so the Cape Breton sound is kind of made its way over to Newfoundland. There is an authentic Cape Breton fiddle sound. It's more of like a
right?
Celtic kind of vibe. It has its own brand, really, but I mean, Newfoundland traditional Irish music is what we call it. Um, is Newfoundland has its own thing. We're more accordion based, but I mean, there's so much culture and
Mhm.
and just folk music in Newfoundland, and it really originates from the Irish
Mhm.
and Irish culture. I know a good buddy of mine, Darcy Broderick. He's an award-winning musician with the Irish Descendants. He toured with the Irish Descendants for years. He's an absolutely amazing fiddle player, and he's taken his father's craft, and his father had Irish in him, and that kind of stuff kind of morphed it into, um, what he's doing today, and it's absolutely beautiful. I think about the McMasters in Cape Breton and Natalie and her abilities and what she's done over the years. She's kind of you know taken that Cape Breton or Celtic sound and made it her own and made it their own over there, and it's all relatable.
For
What I'm
sure.
trying to say, I guess, is it's all in the same kind of mesh.
Intertwined, yeah.
Yeah, but it has its own sound.
Yeah. I have a few friends from Newfoundland. It is on my bucket list to go to. I want to go to
Awesome.
see George Street. I want to see the
Yeah.
landscapes. Oh my goodness, Nova
Yeah,
Scotia,
yeah.
Newfoundland. But
Yeah.
a couple of my friends, they always say, "Who's your father?" Is that what they say out there? Is that a phrase?
Yeah, yeah. Who's your father? Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, I guess, yeah. No, I guess what they're trying to say is, it's such a small town or kind of
Right.
small town vibe and all that kind of stuff. When they say who's your father, they're asking if they know your father, right? So they'll ask that. Yeah. Oh, who's your dad? If they hear a last name and who's your dad or who's your father, what's
Right.
your father's name?
Because everyone
And you
knows
go
everyone,
back.
give or take.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely what that is for
Yeah.
sure.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, or what do you hope for? If this was a digital capsule, what do we hope
Yeah.
for?
I just want to continue releasing music, man, to be honest. And I have goals, personal goals in mind. I mean, I watched the CCMA Awards last week.
Okay.
I was unable to go to that due to some things I had to stay home for here, but I went last year, and I've made it a personal goal. I want to be on that stage. I want to be performing on that stage. I want to be nominated for awards. I don't really want to stop until I'm at the top, and
Hmm.
I'm extremely motivated now because I know that the industry knows who I am now, and they're expecting results. So I mean, for me, it's do some more co-writing, get in touch with more industry people. I've talked to a lot of radio across Canada, and I feel and the country music scene here is so small.
Hmm.
So, and I mean, again, as I said before, there's people that expect me to succeed, and it's something that I take pride in that, and I really want to be successful in this industry. And I've already been quite successful in the last couple of years. I just want to, I want to be the next Tim Hicks or,
Yes.
Brett Kissel or this guy. Like I want to do that, and I want to put in the work, and I want to I guess, be respectful in the same sense because, I've only been here a couple of years. I mean, the Gord Bamfords have been around for years and years and years, and these guys have put in so much work to get to where they are today. And
Right.
I want to be one of those people.
For sure. When you look at, I guess, individuals out there that have helped you, um, not just musically, but personally, as to grow,
Yeah.
what are some of the things you'd say to that little boy or the young Justin back in the day to build confidence, to have growth within himself?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've had a lot of lessons in life. And I wasn't the most perfect child growing up and everything else. And I remember my dad telling me when I came back from Canadian Idol, I was 21 years old, and I was just, I was ready to party, right? So I mean, um, and it happened around the same time that I started going to school, and I ended up dropping out of college to go in and get my degree because I wanted to play music. And my dad was really hard on me for that, and he really wanted me to go back to school and get an education. So I mean, what I would say now is, for me, I've been able to do this and set my own foundation of my own life, and then kind of focus on the music after. I went back to school, I got my degree. And my father always said to me, go get your education and then worry about the music after, because at least you got something to fall back on if it doesn't work out for you. And the music industry is very, very hard to break through.
Sure.
And I look back on that now, and I went back to school, I got my education, and now I can focus. I've got a family, and now I can focus on the music. And I think it's something that I struggle with at the time, but it was the best thing that I ever done. And I think, looking back on it now, I've got Kaylee in my daughter.
Yeah.
She's in voice lessons now and piano.
Oh, yeah.
So I had never done any of that. I just picked up a guitar, and I think I had 3 lessons that taught me like 3 chords or something like that. And I just took off from there, and I just learned it all on my own. But I've got Kaylee started at a young age. I feel like she's a great singer. She's going to be a great singer. She's got so much interest in music and everything else. And rewinding back, if I had my time back, uh, got into music at a young age, and I was always influenced by music, but I didn't really understand kind of the I guess the logic of music and how it worked from a I guess an educational standpoint. I was always just a guy to strum a few chords and whatever.
Before we get going here,
Yeah.
do you want to remain an independent artist, or would you like a label to pick you up?
I think my focus could be, I've said this in the past. I've loved to work with a label. I think there's massive opportunity if
Sure.
if a label would sign me and work with me on that sense, for a lot of reasons. I think independent artists really struggle with the things that labels can do a lot easier, and a
Yes.
lot better. And one example of those things are, the management services they provide, and their ability to um, social media to arrive on their home, and there's budget for that stuff. And I'd love to sign with a label. I've always said that I would work with all the labels, the major labels. I mean, to have an opportunity to work with some a company like that is unbelievable. And in saying that, as an independent artist, it's extremely hard to keep doing what these label artists are doing, because you got to remember, you have to turn heads in this industry. You have to compete with label artists. So I mean, that's a constant. It's a constant education for me. It's a constant. I wouldn't call it a struggle, but I mean, it's something that you have to keep in mind going forward. You have to compete. Every song that you write, every song that you produce, every song that you release needs to compete with label artists. And it's that mindset that you've got to have. You've always got to try and be at the top. You know.
Sure. Do you think you could sing a little bit of a cappella of Laid Back Kind of Night for me?
Oh, I got my guitar right next to me too. I
Oh,
can
I
do that
love
for you,
it.
man. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
No problem, man. All right. Oh, I gotta see if it's in tune. Yeah, that's good enough. Let's get to the back roads, baby. Just you and I. Let's meet in the middle of this laid back kind of night. Let's see the world behind us and touch the sky. Let's meet in the middle of this laid back kind of night. Whoa, 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 whoa. On. Let's forget forever and live for the night. We can sing along, maybe we'll watch the sunrise. Let's get to the back roads, baby. Just you and I. Let's meet in the middle of this laid back kind of night. Let's leave the world behind us and touch the sky. Let's meet in the middle of this laid back kind of night. How's that for you?
Justin Fancy, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. Holy.
Yeah.
Gives me goosebumps.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again. And hopefully if I ever make it out there or vice versa, keep me posted. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And I can show you around for sure. I'll show you a good time on George. No doubt.
I would love it. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks again, brother.
Take care, man.
Okay. See you later.